Alright, let me tell you about this crazy jungle trek that turned into my worst nightmare. I'd been backpacking Southeast Asia for months, the usual burnt-out student yearning for adventure. Let's just say I wasn't about to spoil this trip by revealing my location. You can probably guess from the details anyway. My budget was dwindling by the time I needed to get back to Bangkok. Retracing my steps by bus meant enduring those soul-crushing border crossings again. Ugly industrial wastelands separating one paradise from another. In a bustling night market, fueled by cheap beer with new friends, a rumor sparked. There was a way to cross the border through a thrilling jungle trek, a far cry from the bureaucratic nightmare. There were two girls I'd met on the road. Sarah, an American with an infectious laugh, built like a gymnast but with a backpacker's tan. Then there was May, a quiet enigma from China. She was petite and elegant, a stark contrast in her white cotton dress and heels compared to her elephant pants and tank tops. It felt like she belonged in a five-star resort, not on a shoestring adventure. We reached the border town, a dusty sprawl with a single, flickering streetlight. The designated travel agent was a grumpy man with a price tag inflated beyond reason. Just as we were about to walk away, a motorbike sputtered to a stop. A handsome young man, his smile a little too practiced, offered a jungle trek border crossing alternative. We were wary, but Sarah, ever the optimist, started asking questions. May barely spoke, but when she did, it was to accept the motorbike ride. She said she was tired and preferred to walk. We exchanged a concerned glance, a silent conversation about the safety of the ride, but before we could argue, the guy whisked her away on his motorbike. The map led us through winding alleys, the 30-minute walk punctuated by an unsettling silence from the streets. The new travel agent's office was a storefront with peeling paint. The handsome guide, now sporting a bored expression, sat beside a stern-faced woman. Panic clawed at my throat. May was nowhere to be seen. "Excuse me," I stammered, my voice unnaturally high. "Do you know where our friend is, the girl from China?" The guide's face contorted in surprise. "Chinese girl?" She said lots of snakes in jungle, didn't like. Went back to city already. Disappointment clouded my judgment. Travelers flake sometimes, you learn to expect it. We paid the fee and found a cheap guest house, the weight of unease settling in my gut. The next morning, a rickety SUV arrived at sunrise. Our guide and his buddy, a hulking man with a predatory glint in his eyes, were our escorts. The initial 6-hour trek wasn't strenuous, a well-worn path with occasional motorbikes driven by curious locals. Our guide, who introduced himself as Kai, spoke in broken English, assuring us of a night spent in a minority village. The village was a cluster of wooden huts around a central gathering area. The welcoming villagers, their faces etched with time and tradition, showed us our sleeping quarters. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a communal feast materialized of wild boar, unfamiliar vegetables, and a potent rice wine. Fueled by laughter and the strange liquor, I drifted off to sleep, oblivious to the darkness creeping in. Disoriented and throbbing with a pounding headache, I jolted awake. I was in the back of a moving truck, no restraints, just a chilling emptiness where safety should have been. "Sarah!" I croaked, the panic rising like bile in my throat. A muffled groan answered me. She emerged from the shadows, a gruesome purple bloom blossoming around her eye. "They took us," she whispered, her voice raw. Rage, hot and primal, surged through me. Ignoring Sarah's warning pleas, I began pounding on the metal walls, screaming for help. The truck lurched to a halt. Kai's face, twisted with fury, loomed over us. He shoved a fist into my face, the world dissolving into a haze of pain. When I came to, we were on a paved road, unfamiliar signs marking a new territory. The border had been crossed, not through checkpoints, but through the back alleys of human trafficking. Hours bled into an eternity. Despair threatened to consume us, but a sliver of hope flickered. This couldn't be the end. At some point the van stopped and the door swung open. In a desperate gamble, I launched myself at Kai, the stolen van door slamming into his face. Adrenaline surged, propelling us into a frantic escape. Sarah and I scrambled out of the van, diving into a maze of narrow alleyways behind a cluster of houses. We could hear the shouts of our captors echoing in the distance, but we didn't dare look back. Pushing through tangled undergrowth, we plunged into the jungle, the dense foliage swallowing us whole. Fear was a constant companion, every rustle of leaves sending chills down our spines. The memory of May's quiet demeanor now gnawed at me. Was she truly a victim, or had she been part of the plan all along? The thought was a bitter pill to swallow. Days blurred into a relentless struggle for survival. We scavenged for edible plants, thirst a constant torment. Sleep came in stolen moments, haunted by nightmares of what might have awaited us. Finally, guided by sheer determination, we stumbled upon a small village. Relief washed over me like a tidal wave. The villagers, wary at first, understood our broken pleas for help. They contacted the local authorities, and soon we were whisked away to the nearest town under police escort. The following days were a blur of questioning and medical attention. The authorities confirmed our worst fears: we had been caught in a human trafficking ring. The news about May hit me hard. The police officer, a kind woman with eyes that held the weight of too many stories, revealed a horrifying truth. May wasn't a victim. She was a recruiter, preying on unsuspecting tourists like myself. The seemingly harmless conversation about the expensive travel agent, the convenient disappearance on the walk, it had all been a carefully orchestrated act. The betrayal cut deep. The image of the quiet girl in the white dress morphed into a calculating predator. Leaving the safe haven of my embassy days later, I carried invisible scars. The world, once vibrant and full of promise, now felt laced with danger. But amidst the fear, a flicker of defiance remained. I wouldn't let this experience break me. Back home, the normalcy of life felt surreal. Sharing my story, raising awareness about human trafficking became my mission. The nightmare in the jungle had stolen my innocence, but it had also ignited a fire within me, a fire to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves.